You know what time it is? It's summertime, and I'm so excited to be sharing with you one of the makes for a challenge hosted by my Sew Sis Rochelle of Rochelle Handmade Designs right here on this video today. So if you're intrigued to know what I'm talking about, then please keep on watching. Hey Stitchers, welcome back to my channel on social, where it is totally cool and in fact encouraged to be obsessed with sewing. If you're new here, my name is Chris and I am absolutely obsessed with sewing. You lot, sewing is undeniably a form of therapy for me, and listen, I take great pleasure in sitting in front of my sewing machine. Anyways, let's get right into talking about this challenge. So my girl Rochelle reached out to me over on Instagram, I think it was during the month of May, to ask me if I was willing to participate in her challenge that will be running for the month of June called Hot Girl Summer. Now, the rules of the challenge were to take a new look pattern or multiple new look patterns to make one amazing summer set. Now, folks, I went ahead and said yes to Rochelle because she is my girl and I love to be able to support my girls in their ventures. However, I knew I was severely disadvantaged because you had to use new look patterns and I had like 2 or 3 new look patterns in my stash. Now, a couple months ago, you may have seen a lot of videos here on YouTube featuring new look pattern hauls. I think Hobby Lobby was having a closing down, no, not a closing down sale. They were discontinuing selling new look patterns in their stores, and so they were selling out the patterns for 99 cents. Clearly, I do not live anywhere close to a Hobby Lobby and could not benefit from that big old deal, but I did have 3 new look patterns in my stash, 2 of which I used for my make today, and I don't know. I have lots of thoughts to share with you guys. So the first item I went ahead and made is this top that you can see right here. It is an off-the-shoulder top and it has an elastic casing at the waistline. Now, the original pattern is not designed as a top and it is not designed to have an elastic casing. However, your girl thought that a hack was in order just to make this top a little bit more conducive to my personal style. Now, to make the top, I used this pattern right here. This is New Look 6507 and it is designed as a dress pattern. I went ahead and made, I think, View B, this one right here that the model is wearing, but I omitted the double flounce and I hacked it into a top. I had come across this top on Pinterest. It was an off-the-shoulder top, but it did have sleeves and it had the elastic casing at the waistline, and I thought that that was just a cool touch to that top, and I decided to go ahead and incorporate the elastic casing into my top. Now I'm going to pause right here so I can go and show you some footage of the making of this top, and then I'll come back to share a few more thoughts.
Alright, so I'm constructing my top. And this top actually has you just sew right sides together, but I actually want to do princess seams. This is a cotton lawn, which means it's quite thin, and I don't think it's going to produce too much bulk, and I just like the idea of an even, neater finish on the inside of this blouse. So I'm going to go ahead and do French seams on my side seams by sewing them wrong sides together. Using a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, trim it, and then turn it right sides together and sew with a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Alright, so I've got my French seams finished like this on the inside, nice and neat, and now I need to go ahead and apply some bias binding to my arm side. Now, this is the bias binding that I'm using. The pattern asks for single fold bias binding, and this is the color that I have in my stash that most closely resembles what I'm working with. So I'm just going to go ahead and use this one. Now, if you've been here for any time at all, then you know that I'm not a huge fan of bias binding, but I cannot skip it for this make. So I'm just going to go ahead and bite the bullet and use it. Alright, so I have understitched my bias binding and I've pressed it to the inside. So I'm just going to pin it into place now and run my line of top stitching from the outside. Alright, so this is what my arm side looks like. It's very neat. You turn it to the inside, you see 2 rows of stitching. One would have been the understitching and one would have been the top stitching. With my bias tape done, I'm going to set this aside now and then I'm going to work on the flounce. So this is the fabric that I'm going to be using for my flounce. As you can see, it does have some of my main bodice fabric included, and I just thought that this will make for a really cute look. Now, because I went ahead and did my, bodice in front seams, I'm going to repeat the process for my flounce. Just like so. Now you might notice that one of my flounces is actually longer than the other. And that can only be because your girl made a mistake when cutting out her flounce pieces. So I'm just going to go and tidy that up once I have sewn my side seams together. I'm just going to go ahead and trim off the longer flounce. I'm not sure what I was doing that caused me to make this mistake, but it has already been done. So I'll just go ahead and tidy it up once I've sewn the side seams of the flounce together. Alright, so I have completed the flounce as well. I've done my front seams on the inside, and I've also gone ahead and stay stitched at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So now I can go ahead and join my flounce to my bodice main. I have gone ahead off camera and attached my ruffle to my top, and this is what it's looking like. The ruffle is actually supposed to be a double ruffle as designed by the pattern, but I wanted only to use a single ruffle, and so in order to make my casing, I had to baste my ruffle to my top, then turn it under by the 5/8 inch seam allowance and top stitch it, and then I put my elastic through the casing. Now, arguably, I should have been using wider elastic. My casing is 1/2 inch, and the elastic that I use is 1/4 inch. I really wanted 3/8 inch elastic in my casing, but I didn't have any in my stash. I don't have any available on my island, and by the time I order it to get here, obviously, it's going to be way too late for me to finish up my blouse for this challenge, and so I went ahead and used what I have. I also went ahead and put the casing in the waistband, and I did that by using bias binding. So I used the same bias binding that I used at the arm side and just stitched it into place where my waistline is. And then I went ahead and threaded through some elastic until it was comfortable to my waistline measurement. So this is what it looks like on the inside of the casing, and this is what it looks like on the outside. So it's pretty neat, and I really like the cinched in effect that the casing has provided with the elastic. So I have pretty much finished up my top. I've gone ahead and done a narrow hem as well on my top, and I really like how the top has come out. I think the combination of fabrics is pretty cool, but we'll see how it turns out with my skirt.
Alright, so you have seen the process of putting this top together. I really like how the top turned out, and I'm particularly happy about the waistline casing situation. Now, to make this top, I used 2 different fabrics I had in my stash, and I have had them in my stash for almost a year. Last year for my birthday, my sister cousin bought me these 2 amazing fabrics from Liberty of London. Folks, I have not cut into this fabric for almost a year just because, as I said, it's from Liberty. Now, if you are unfamiliar, Liberty has top tier fabrics, and they are top tier prices as well. And so I did not want to risk ruining this amazing fabric by screwing up a project. And so I really wanted to take my time and figure out what it should become. And in the end, I decided I wanted to use it for this project. Now, so far as the top is concerned, I really like how the top turned out, but I am less enthusiastic about the skirt. So for the skirt, I went ahead and used this pattern right here, New Look 6734. Now, I have recently been using this pattern to make up a swimsuit, you guys, in View A. Now, my swimsuit has not yet landed on this channel, at least not the making of the swimsuit, because I ran out of elastic. You may have gotten a sneak peek of that swimsuit in my May Sewing Makes Roundup. So if you are interested to see what my swimsuit is looking like so far, then be sure to go ahead and check out that video. I'll go ahead and drop the link in right here. Now, as I said, for my skirt, I used this pattern. Now, the swimsuit pattern comes with a view C, which is meant to be a swimsuit cover-up. But I decided I wanted to use this as my skirt pattern because there is so much volume towards the neckline of my top pattern that I did not want to have as much volume on my skirt, and so I eliminated the idea of doing a gathered skirt. In any event, as I said, I only had 3 new look patterns in my stash. Now, I thought that the maxi length skirt would not get a lot of wear in my wardrobe just because it is so hot here. It might just be summer for you guys, but where I live, it's hot pretty much year around. And so I decided I wanted to hack this skirt into a shorter version. So to do that, I shortened my pattern to knee length, you guys. But once it had gotten to that stage and I had constructed the basic skirt and tried it on, I hated it. So I'm going to press the pause button right here and share with you a little of the behind the scenes making of the skirt, and then I'll be back to tell you why I hated it.
So for my skirt, I'm actually using this pattern right here, which is New Look 6734. I've recently been working on the swimsuit. I think it was View A that I made, but your girl ran out of elastic, so that one is not yet finished. But I'm going to pair my top with this skirt. But I don't think I want to do a maxi length. I actually think I'm going to crop this off into something short and sexy. Now, I am a little bit concerned that my fabric is so lightweight, but I want my set to look like a set. And so I think I'm going to bite the bullet and just use the fabric that I have been using for the top. Now for view C, the suggested fabrics are batiks, chambray, cotton blends, gauze, and linen blends. Now mine is a cotton lawn, I think. So that fits under cotton blends, I think. But I am a little bit concerned about how light it is. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it turns out well. So the first thing I need to do is to go ahead and trace off my size. All right, so I'm not finding any finished garment measurements on this skirt front piece, which I find kind of peculiar. New Look, where are the finished garment measurements for my waistline? But based on the actual body measurements, I think I'm going to trace off a size 20 in the front and a size 18 in the back, just because I carry more weight in the body's front than I do in the back. So I need to do a hollow hip adjustment on my pattern. So this is my skirt front, and I think I've demonstrated the hollow hip adjustment here before on my channel, but I think I'm just going to do it once again because I think you guys can benefit from it. Now, the reason I do this hollow hip adjustment is to remove length along the side seam of my skirt. So this affects, let me just pull it over a little bit more, the length of the side seam. So my hips are about, let's say about 11 inches down from my natural waist because I am quite high-waisted. And instead of like coming out like this to give the hourglass shape, I have like a hip dip. So is that concave or convex? The one that turns inwards. And the result of that is the length between my waistline and my hemline is reduced because of that dip. Now, if it was curved outwards, then you would need more fabric to go over your hip line. So I found that most commercial patterns, the hip length and the hip shape is drafted for somebody who has a little bit more hip than I do. And so I found that when I remove a 1/4 inch in length along the side seam, it allows my skirts to fit me much nicer, and it prevents my fabric from caving in towards center front at the hemline. So I'm going to demonstrate how to do the hollow hip adjustment. So I have measured down 11 inches or 11.5 inches, I think, from my waistline, and I'm going to draw a line perpendicular to the grain line right across my skirt, just like so. Next up, I am going to mark up a 1/4 inch from my first line just at the side seam of my skirt. Next, I am going to cut across my line, taking care not to cut through the skirt completely. I actually want to create a hinge point. Now, because this skirt is a wrap over skirt, the center front ends right here. Now, I don't want to extend my line all the way across because now this is going across the body. So I'm stopping at the center front, And then I'm going to go ahead and create a hinge point by cutting from the opposite side up to my center front line, like so. Once I've got my lines cut apart, I am going to overlap the bottom of my skirt so that it now lines up with that 1/4 inch marking that I made. And then I'm just going to tape it into place. Alright, so when you perform this adjustment, because we have shifted the side seam upwards, we have gone ahead and skewed our grain line and therefore our center front lines. And so I need to go back and put this on grain. So I'm lining up the top of my skirt piece where the grain line is with my cutting mat. And I'm just going to rest my weights on top. And I'm going to extend the grain line following the grid line on my skirt. Just like so. So I know it's difficult to see because my initial line was in pencil, but if I hold it up, you can see that my original grain line is here, and this is now my new grain line. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing at my center front, just so we make sure that it is all on grain when we cut out our fabric piece. Because we have skewed our very center front line, this is the overlap. If you look at my grid line, you can see that my front cut edge is now a distance from my grid line towards the bottom of my skirt, and it gets wider right here towards the hemline. So I'm going to go ahead and slot some scrap paper right beneath my cut line, like so. And once that is in place, I'm going to go in and draw my cut line again. Like so. It's very important to true up your cut lines, your seam lines, and that sort of thing when you make adjustments so that you don't end up with a skewed finished product. Now that is it. I can go ahead and cut up my skirt. That is the only adjustment I needed to perform to both my skirt front and my skirt back pieces. And so I'm going to go ahead and cut this out of fabric now. I did forget to mention that I have shortened the skirt. The skirt in the pattern envelope is meant to be like an ankle length skirt, but I have shortened my skirt to just about my knee line. So my pattern pieces have all been cut out. It's just the skirt front and the skirt back. The pattern does include pockets, but I'm not using pockets for this skirt just because I've gone ahead and used a really, really lightweight fabric. Now, usually for a fabric this lightweight, I wouldn't make such a structured sort of looking skirt. I would do something more flowy, maybe like a gathered skirt. But the challenge was to take two new look patterns or one new look pattern and turn it into a coordinated set. And I feel like that coordinated aspect is sort of ringing in my ears, and that is what is pushing me to use this fabric. Now, I'm really hoping that I don't regret it in the end because, as I mentioned before, this fabric was gifted to me by my sister cousin, and it's from Liberty, you guys, and nobody wants to screw up Liberty fabric. So I'm hoping that this turns out quite nice, even though I'm using such a lightweight fabric. Now, again, it's very, very hot where I live, and so I like to have breathable fabrics on. I'm looking at this and I can see my cutting mat through the fabric. And so I'm going to have to be very careful with the underwear that I wear with this skirt. But I'm going to try it out, sew it up, and see how it looks, and then figure out if I need to make any adjustments, maybe like line it or something like that to make it more wearable if it's not by the time I finish constructing it. So I've put my darts in and I've done the stay stitching across the top of my skirt, and I'm pinning my side seams now. You guys, I'm telling you, the more that I feel this fabric, the more that I feel like I'm going to have to line this skirt. Otherwise, it's just not going to be beefy enough for me to wear it comfortably. But we trod on, and then I can make a decision once I've put the side seams on. And then I can just sling it around my waist and get a feel for how this skirt is going to go and look. Right, so it's time for a quick try on of my skirt. I've sewn together the front and the back and put the dots in. And it's really, really floaty, you guys. And I'm just going to wrap it around me just to get an idea of how it will look when it's done. So I'm meeting up the center fronts like so. And then I'm just going to pin it right here. All right, so it's not looking terrible, but I really think that I need to bite the bullet and line this skirt. I think I just want it to have a little bit more substance. Additionally, I think I might want to add a waistband to my skirt. This skirt is not designed with a waistband. The top edge of the skirt is actually finished with a stay, and that is it. But I think I would much prefer to have like a waistband. I feel like that will hold me in a little bit more. Now I have my shorts underneath just because I'm not sure how see-through it is and I didn't want to risk all my underwear showing up on this video, but I'll go ahead and double check. Finally, I think I've cut it a little bit too long. So I've cut this skirt to about 24 inches, but I think I want to go ahead and shorten it a good 3 or 4 inches so that we can have some leg action. I just feel like that will be a lot cuter, a lot sexier, and a lot more modern in terms of the length of this skirt. But I'll make the final decision in relation to the hem once I have lined my skirt. Now I'm just going to go ahead and pop the top on just to get an idea of how the two look together in terms of the silhouette, and then I can start charting my way forward from there. All right, you guys, so this is what my outfit is looking like so far, and I hate it. Like, I just don't like the proportions of the top and the skirt, and I need to go and figure out what the hell I'm gonna do because my reveal date, you're seeing this video on the 10th of June, and today is the 3rd of June. Of course, I work a full-time job, I have kids, I need to finish this outfit, photograph it, and finish videoing and editing this video so that you guys can have it up on time. So I've got a lot to figure out between now and next week, Monday. But I didn't want to do a gathered skirt with this top just because I felt like the volume of the gathered skirt would compete with the volume of the top. And so I decided I wanted to do something with a more straight line silhouette, which is why I chose this skirt pattern. Now, ideally, I think that this top would have gone quite nicely with a pair of like Bermuda shorts, but I have no pants patterns in the New Look brand, and the challenge was to use New Look. And in any event, you guys, I absolutely suck at fitting pants, and I'm not sure if now would have been the appropriate time to give that challenge a try. But that being said, I hate how this looks together. I don't know, and I need to fix it. Like, fix it, baby Jesus, fix it, because there is no way in hell this is gonna be my finished garment, at least not like this. Something has to change. Some proportions have to change. I need to figure this shit out sooner rather than later. But this is what it's looking like so far. And I don't know. You guys let me know if I'm being overly dramatic, if it looks okay, or if I look like some old maiden who has been left by her husband and just, oh gosh, I don't know. I hate how this looks. So I'm going to head back to my cutting table and see if I can figure out what I want to do about my outfit. Right, so I quickly tucked my top into the skirt and it looks a little bit better tucked in, but I still think it's too long and I feel sort of matronly in it. And because I had gone ahead and put the elastic in the top, I'm not sure how it's going to end up looking. But I definitely think I want to go ahead and add a waistband to this skirt. But then, fix it. I need to fix it. Think, Chris, think. How can you fix this? Anyways, it looks better tucked in. Still not great, but at least better. So we'll see. Alright guys, so you've seen how my skirt turned out at the knee length level. I tried it on and by itself it wasn't terrible, but I didn't feel young and fresh in my skirt. And when I tried it on with a top, oh you guys, I hated it. Like absolutely hated it. I even reached out to Rachel and was like, girl, I don't know about your challenge because I am working on my outfit and I hate it. And I cannot share this make with the internet streets because it is nothing like on social at all.
And so it took me a couple of days just to wrap my head about what I could possibly do to improve the silhouette of my set. Truth be told, I really think that this top would have been better off with a pair of shorts. But as you guys already know, I do not make trousers because I have not yet mastered the fit. That being said, I'm currently over on Instagram sharing my process to fitting a pant pattern. And that is because my Instagram friends voted on Simplicity 9330, which is a dress and jumpsuit pattern for my birthday. Now I can easily make the dress, but your girl is trying to challenge herself by getting the pair of pants to fit me so that I can go ahead and make that jumpsuit. So if that is something that you might be interested in, you want to see the process of fitting a pair of pants, if you want to see if I am successful in trying to fit those pants, then be sure to go ahead over to my Instagram and follow my account there. Now anyways, no shorts, so I had to make my skirt, and in the end I decided to shorten the skirt considerably for a mini length skirt. And I do think that the length adjustment vastly improves the look of this make, but you guys, I am still not 100% sold on this set.
Alright, so Operation Fix It is underway, and the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and shorten this baby, and I'm going to shorten her by 4 inches. She is just way too long for comfort. So I'm just grabbing my seam gauge from Nancy Zimmerman. You can find this in my Amazon store if you're interested. The link is down below in the description box, and my chackle liner. So I'm just going to measure up 4 inches, put it at my hemline, and just follow it all the way around my hemline so that I can get rid of 4 inches off of this skirt. The next thing I want to do is to go ahead and create a waistband for this. So to do that, I'm just getting my original pattern piece, and I need to grab myself some tracing paper, and I'm just going to trace off my waistband. Now I want my finished waistband to be, let's say, an inch, and I'm going to need 3/8 of an inch seam allowance at the bottom and 3/8 at the top. So that's 1 6/8 of an inch. So I'm just going to do it. Actually, perhaps I'll just use 2 inches as the depth. That's going to give me a waistband that is a little wider than an inch, but I think that that will be okay. So I'm just lining up my tracing paper with my pattern piece beneath, and I'm simply going to trace out the waistline, just like so. Now the waistline of this has a dart in it, so I'm going to have to get rid of that dart. But for now, I'm just tracing it out. Now this is not very tidy, and that is because the angle where I am trying to demonstrate, but I wanted you guys to get an idea of what I'm doing. I'll go back in and tidy it up off camera. It's going to measure down 2 inches from my waistband side seam. So this is 1. This is a 2-inch mark right about there. And then I can go in and measure down 2 inches all the way along my waistband. This will help make it as accurate as possible. I'm going to draw in the dart beneath because I'm going to end up closing out this dart for some shaping in my waistband, and measure down 2 inches and keep going along right the way to my center front. Once I've done that, I'll repeat the process on my back waistline. So this is the front piece, but as I was cutting it out, I just realized I've actually made a facing piece because of how I traced it off from my what do you call it, my pattern piece. So I'm just going to use it as a facing instead. In my mind, I was thinking I wanted to do a waistband, but because I've already traced it out as a facing, then I'm just going to roll with the punches and do it as a facing. You guys, I am all over the place with this project. I do not know what is happening to my brain for this project, but I'm just going to go ahead, as I said, and use this as a facing piece. So I'm going to repeat this process for the back piece. Alright folks, so I've been messing around with the silhouette of my skirt. I have shortened it, but I still wasn't happy with the silhouette, the shape of the skirt. So I went ahead and I took it in by a half inch from my hem, blended up about 13 or 14 inches towards my waistline. I tried it on and I still thought it had too much flare in it. So I've gone ahead and taken it in by another half inch. That means I have taken it in an inch on either side of my skirt, and obviously an inch on the front and an inch on the back. So that's 2 inches per side. That's a total of 4 inches of the hemline, the width of the hemline. So I'm much happier with how it looks now. So I'm going to go back in with my serger just to tidy up the inside seam.
Now, part of the sewing process is sometimes you get it and you get it really, really well. And there are other times when, for whatever reason, your makes just don't turn out as you envision. And this just happened to be one of those times. And I'm a little bit disappointed again because I was using this treasured fabric. But it was a process. I was able to challenge my creativity. And both of my pieces are wearable, and I am going to wear these pieces, especially this top, because I really like the top. It's just that I don't like the pieces together. Something about the silhouette together, I just don't feel fresh. I just don't feel young. I just don't feel hip. I ain't got no drip in this coordinated set, at least not in my opinion. And so I am disappointed. I am disappointed to be going out like this. However, I'm going to rock my top and I'm going to rock my skirt, probably just not together. I did enjoy this challenge, and I want to say a big thank you to Rochelle for asking me to be a part of her challenge. We have developed a very good rapport over the last couple of months, and it was my pleasure to be able to represent a small island in this challenge. And so, Rochelle, thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of Hot Girl Summer 2024. I'm really excited to see what my other Sew Sisters make up for this challenge. And so I'm going to be sure to be tuning in to Instagram every day for the rest of June so that I can see what everybody else came up with. I'm sure that there are going to be some amazing summer sets popping up on my Instagram feed for the rest of this month. So you guys should absolutely head on over to Instagram. Make sure you're following Rochelle here and there, and make sure you're following the hashtag. I think it might be Hot Girl Summer, but I'll go ahead and double check and then I'll put it up on the screen so that you can find it quite easily. Now you guys, before I go, I'm just gonna pop in some pictures and a toile, I think, so that you can see how this set looks together on screen. And be sure to go ahead and leave me comments in the comment box down below and let me know what you guys think of this set. Be honest, you guys, but please do not be mean about it. I have very broad shoulders and I'm up for any criticisms at all, but there is no need to be a heifer about it. So bear that in mind, but leave me a comment down below. Now, if you enjoyed this video, also be sure to go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Let the YouTube algorithm know that you're here and that you're loving my content so that I can get my content shared with other like-minded souls. If you have gotten this far in my video and you are not yet a subscriber, then sis, what are you doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn your notification bell on so that you never, ever miss any of my upcoming videos. I strive to share videos with you guys twice a week. I started off at 3 times a week, but I have cut back to twice a week just because I have a lot going on in the background. And so you can tune in here on my YouTube channel on Sundays and on Thursdays in my regular posting schedule to catch all of my new releases. This video has gone live on Monday because Monday was my challenge pick day. But I do not usually share videos on a Monday. So again, Sundays and Thursdays, come right back here to my YouTube channel to check out my new videos. So that is all I needed to share with you guys today. So until next time, stay calm, stay cool, stay safe, and absolutely keep sewing. Peace.